This is January 22nd, 2024, the Centerville Community School District regular board meeting. I'm going to read the mission statement. All students will learn well, become lifelong learners, and contribute positively to society. I'm going to call the meeting to order with a roll call. Berger.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Heffron. Here. Johnson.
Here.
Moore. Absent. Thomas.
Here.
And Wiskus. I can see him on Zoom, so yep.
Here.
First item on our agenda is election of President Pro Tem, because our president and our vice president are absent this evening. So does anybody want to nominate a president or Pro Tem?
I nominate Butterfield. Derek Carter.
Okay. Second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, I'll turn it over to Derek.
Could have just set my stuff here, but that would have been presumptuous.
Kevin looks so big.
I'll extend on there.
You should probably change that screen for everybody's eyesight.
All right, well, welcome everybody to our regular board meeting. I'd like to welcome any visitors we have in the room. Looks like we do have a couple here, as well as our student presenters. Real quick, guidelines for public comment. We would like to remind all speakers, both in person and online, that while this is an open forum for any issues of praise or concern, the board does expect all speakers to maintain a civil tone and refrain from using profanity, raising their voices, or making statements that are threatening or harassing towards others. Any speaker who creates a disruption may be asked to leave the meeting. We also want to remind all speakers that any comments that be made during public comment are done so at the risk of the person making the comment, and that the district will not be responsible for any defamatory or potentially defamatory statements which may be made about a particular person or persons. Individuals are advised to seek legal consultation if they are uncertain about the character of any comments. It is the board's practice and policy not to engage or respond to speakers during the public comment session, regardless of the topic and or concern. If the board wishes to further discuss or address an item or concern raised in public comment, it will do so by establishing an agenda item at a future board meeting or delegating responsibility to the administration to address an issue. Thank you. That being said, Lisa, do we have one speaker? Mr. J. Dillard, you want to come on up? Per board policy, we do allow 5 minutes. Again, just want to remind the board that we do not engage positively or negatively during comments. So, Mr. Dillard, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to address the board. There were some topics that were discussed in regards to safety in the last meeting that spurred my wanting to address the board. It's unfortunate that it is a horrible reality of this world that this is something that a Board of Education has to address or deal with in regards to events of this nature. I think safety is the single, or the safety of the students and the staff is the single most important thing that this school system will do. So I think that the pie in the sky of federal or state to show up on a white horse to resolve the issue or come up with the magic answer is not going to happen, and it's going to fall on your shoulders and this board to do so. So I come with a simple request. As I reviewed the minutes over the past year, I would ask, as you're going into your work session here in the next month, to focus on 2024 goals and what the board plans to formulate as their game plan, is that you make safety a monthly agenda item where monthly you guys discuss what are topics that are coming before this board. One of the things I heard in the last meeting was that there are some aspects of safety that this board may not know all the ins and outs. And if you as a board need to know if the school system is prepared or ready to address those aspects. You need to know everything that law enforcement knows. You need to know everything that all organizations that are going to be assisting with this type of event in order for the board to be able to adequately know, do we need to do more, or are we doing more than we need to? Do we need to do less in this category, more in this category? So I would implore you that that be an action item that you take and make it a requirement as an agenda item. So that is simply my request. So I do appreciate your opportunity to address you, and it's odd to not, I see some head nods, at least you're hearing me. I know you're not supposed to respond, but I do appreciate
Easier said
the
than done.
simple head nod of, I'm not at least speaking to other human beings. Okay, I appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you, Jay. We do appreciate you taking the time to come in. Any other comments from public forum this evening? If not, then I will declare the public forum closed, and we will move on to approving the agenda. Take a motion in a second.
Motion to approve agenda.
Motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, new business, our student representative.
So we actually have the benefit of having many student representatives today. Very excited about this. Mrs. Mitchell has kind of organized a couple groups to be some of our student reps for tonight. So Mrs. Mitchell, if you want to take the
First, I'm going to have my sixth grade tag student come up there and talk a little bit about what we've been doing in sixth grade tag. Unfortunately, because of basketball games and things tonight, my 7th and 8th graders weren't able to come. And I want to say something up front. We have not prepared anything at all. I totally forgot this when we were supposed to be here, so this lies on me. I asked them if they would come. I gave them the paper when they walked in the door of some things they might talk about. So it's totally impromptu.
So we're seeing improv skills here. That's
Yes.
a win. Awesome, dude. Thanks for coming and talking to us, man.
Did you introduce him?
This is Dylan, and he's in our 6th grade tag.
So one of our first experiments was DNA extraction and how that kind of works and how we're all different. And basically we took salt water, a cup of salt water, put it in our mouth, swish it around, and that kind of like, I don't know, like loosens up our glands so our DNA comes out easier. And then after we did that for like a week, and we all put the salt water with our saliva and DNA into a solution, and that after a certain period of time, you could see your like cells almost coming to the top, and you'd like see your DNA basically, and everybody's was different, and it was really cool. And our second project was probably the biggest project and the longest project we've done all year. And it was building a catapult. And that took a lot of teamwork and stuff like that. And we really focused on safety and learning how to use tools to improve our life ahead of us. And
And these were life-size catapults that they did.
Trying to tell them what they drew.
what,
What the catapult drew. You want to tell the board that? That's the cool part.
yeah, we launched pumpkins.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Was that outside?
yeah.
You got
Pretty
safety,
cool.
you know?
Yeah, it was hard though, because we had to design at the start, and we had our materials, but it didn't work, so we had to do another prototype. And eventually we got to one where it was strong and stable, and it eventually launched so we could take it out to show. And a third project we work on was basically, it was all about ratios and math, and we were making lemonade, and we had to put the right amount of lemonade and sugar and lemons to make the best tasting lemonade. we had a competition, and there's a lot of sugar involved.
Well done.
But the question is your lemonade the best
That's
tasting?
what I wanna know.
At least you're honest.
And then a project we just did today was a water filter. We did a novel study on the long walk to water. And it was about the lost boys of South Sudan and their civil war in the 90s. And there was the like thousands of young men from a bunch of different villages in Sudan, and they all went into basically the woods, the bush of South Sudan, and they would go to camps, and there would be like enough water, and then there was also like a side part on it in the book, and it was of a girl who had to walk 3 miles to and back from the pond, where she would get only like 2 gallons of water, and she'd have to do that in the morning, in the afternoon, and the evening. And eventually they dug for water in the girl's village, and the boy going back, his name was Salva Dut, and he led a bunch of people, and they took like 3,000 young men from South Sudan to America. And then when Salva Dut got into America, he started working with like students and talking to them, and eventually created his own business. It was water for South Sudan, and they would build wells for people in South Sudan. And eventually the girl and Salva Dut met up with the water being into the well and saved their village. That's it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Well, thank you.
Do you want to say what materials you had to make it comfortable?
We had sponge, cotton balls, a paper towel, and rocks. And we had to make it enough, like put it in the right spots to make the dirt not go through all the way, so the water would be clean, so it would be safe for drinking water.
You can kind of see some of it. We put dirt and glitter and all kinds of different stuff in the water before we put
So then did you try it?
The water?
Fair enough.
They wanted to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I said we may have taken the debris out of it, but I'm not sure that we took the different chemicals.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
That probably, yeah, bachelor.
Thank you for your time.
Good
Well,
job.
thank you. Certainly appreciate it. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Whistler? All right, I guess you're off the hook.
Dylan, you can go if you want. Okay, robotics. Robotics.
Robotics, yeah, there was a pretty big robotics competition recently, wasn't there? Who are you? What grades?
I'm Mason Sloan and I'm in 6th grade.
I'm Kevin Ewing, and I'm in 6th grade.
I'm Xavier Jones and I'm 7th grade.
Well, nice to meet you guys, and thank you guys for coming in.
So, you guys want to tell me what the competition is about?
Well, the competition was about the game called Tri-Ball, where it's basically kind of like soccer. It'll go, some of these robots will be able to push, collect, or catapult, like launch it. And you have to get them in these, I can't talk.
All right, you're good.
You put them in the nets, they're like that narrow to get them in. Some can get them out, but if you're in there long enough, you're done. If the robot shuts off, you're done.
Anybody else want to talk about?
Before we start our match, there's like a small match before it, like where you have to program it to be like autonomous, so it does it by itself, and you get points if it moves a little bit. And then, like, you can program it to move a ball into the net while under the net.
And if you win autonomous mode, you'll get like certain amount of extra points after if you win it. And you win by, I think it's every tri-ball you get 2 points. So if you get like all of them, you get a certain amount of like 80 or 100 points. And what'd you guys make? This is the team that this robot belongs to. None of the team members happen to be here. But this team in particular is my 6972A team that was, I just got the email at 7 o'clock this morning that they were invited to the state championship because of their skills. And they are currently 4th out of 7 middle schools in the state. There's only 7 middle school teams in the state that have done a skills match. They are also 1,624th out of 1,927 middle schools in the world.
Wow,
So
that's awesome.
What's your favorite part of robotics?
Well, basically, my favorite part about robotics is building the robots, finding out what's wrong with it, then taking it back apart and putting it back together. If I can't think of something, I'll go over to my team captain and ask what I should do. He usually gives me the best ideas. And
My favorite part was like figuring it out and like seeing what we needed to fix if it was wrong and like programming it.
mine was probably the competition. The competition was really fun. I thought we did really good. That was my favorite part.
A lot of good life skills there.
And they all work in teams of 4 to 6 students, so it's not an individual. There's a lot of teamwork, a lot of team effort goes into programming and building.
So the grade 3, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The 3 grades work together.
So they not only build it, but they also do the programming.
Wow. And this one's dead on positive, but the brain of it is on touch screen.
Okay.
And then, but they do have to plug it into a computer and program it from the computer, and there's also a controller that goes with it, that looks like an Xbox controller. I mean, with the weather and stuff, I didn't bring everything.
No, I don't blame you.
That outside is pretty cool too, because the first part of the competition, they put pre-designed, like go this many inches forward, turn this way, activate this thing to try to score points before the match starts. So it's pretty neat. You see all the different things they're able to do with that through the programming they put into it.
Yeah, and the skills is when they're one-on-one on the mat, seeing how many points they can get just by themselves. During the competition, there's 3 robots on the mat at a time, 2 teams of 2. So, and every match, their team's with a different team, so they're never scoring points with the same team until the finals.
How many
This
students?
is Mitchell.
Yes,
Are these Lego robotic kits or what are the kits? Where they
no,
come?
these are Vex metal robotics.
What's that again?
Vex,
Okay. What's the microcontroller you're using?
it's a V5 Vex controller.
I know you wouldn't say this on your own, but why don't you tell them who your judges are and where that came from? I was pretty impressed by that day.
My judges are former students. This year, Britton Williger wasn't able to make it. He usually is one of my judges, but my son, Nick Mitchell, is one of our judges. He graduated Iowa State with a computer engineering degree and now works for John Deere as a software engineer. And then Wesley Butler was my other one, and he is working in Ames at a website that's making websites, designing websites for a company up there. And then even a lot of my students a lot of former students tried to come back this year that a lot of them had to work or had other obligations that weren't able to come. But then all the staff also help a lot with being on the mats. My principals and my superintendent are awesome at coming and counting for me.
How many students do you have total program? Roughly.
I have around 12 to 15 in the 6th through 8th grade.
Definitely the neat thing is seeing all your robotics alums that come back to do this, and there's a lot of successful engineers in those alums that attribute a lot of the learning that they did and a lot of what sparked them, pun intended, to want to go into engineering is this. So I thought that's pretty cool to talk to those kiddos and hear that.
And there were a number of parents there that day too, from businesses in town that have been helping you. They said, one dad in particular said he came in the evenings and worked with your team. So.
Yeah,
If you
I
have
have.
not watched one of these, you've got to get to it next year. It is the coolest thing to watch.
It's really cool. There's teams from all over the state that come to our competition, and the teamwork is just incredible. And people have the kids have never met each other, and they just get in there and they work together to score points. And even if, and I know a lot of people don't get to the pit area, but if you get to the pit area where they're working on the robots and stuff, all the team, even though they're competing against each other, they're always there to help each other. The other teams, if there's a problem, I know if I'm there watching the competition or helping out in the competition, and if my kids are having a problem in the pit area, they know they can go to somebody else and ask for help, and they're going to help them. So it's really a nice.
And when is the state championship?
I do not know. I have to look that up. I haven't. I want to say it's at the end of February.
Okay. Exciting.
So, any questions?
Anybody else have any questions? Well, thank you all for coming in. Certainly appreciate that, and congratulations on a good season, and keep learning, guys.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You guys can.
Nice job,
And then well, next up, so we have buildings and grounds.
Got a little bit of a construction update. Within the construction, the office area and weight room have been painted. The lockers for the classroom wing and for locker rooms have been installed. Gas meter and chiller by the dock area have been installed. Outside transformer has also been set and installed. The cloud ceiling grid for the classroom wing has been hung. The classroom wing and office area door frames have been painted and doors have been put up. They have installed the whiteboards in the classrooms and office areas. Lights have been installed in the gym along with the basketball hoops. Block walls in the locker rooms are complete. Once the wrestling season is complete, we will be installing the additional conduit and wiring needed inside the wrestling room. And then scheduled on February 12th, they will begin to install the wall and floor tile in bathroom, showers, and in the kitchen. And then a little bit of building grounds update. We are currently working on installing automatic flush valves on toilets in some highly populated areas. We're also continuing with the upgrades, receptacles, and LED lights in different areas of the school district. And then also over winter break, we have gotten all the buildings except the high school rekeyed to our new 3-tier key system. This system will ensure a more secure and safe environment. We now have paper documentation on who has what keys to what building and what classroom. So we know how to track them down a little more easily.
And that's a huge upgrade over the previous, there were keys for years floating around out there, and so this change is a big deal.
Anybody have any questions for Aaron? All right,
I'll
Mike?
just say, Mark, I know there's a construction meeting on Wednesday, isn't there?
Yes, yep, 1 o'clock. Sorry for the, anybody, if I didn't catch it, I think I caught everybody who's gone, when we were supposed to do one last week and it got pushed back. But yeah, 1 o'clock this Wednesday.
Yeah, I won't be back in time, but I forgot to tell you when we talked earlier this week, talking with Kevin from Bi-State, he still does not have any design on the gas line from the new gas meter placement. So that's got to be an issue that we bring to FRK.
I'm putting that on my notes here. You know, we're also waiting for a few cosmetic items from her too.
Yeah, but this one's gonna be big and expensive, so.
Yep. Well, hopefully not, but probably.
Good, Mike.
Obviously, the biggest thing is road conditions right now. We've been on hard surface roads for, looks, almost since we got back from break. My main concern at first was how narrow the roads were, and now they're just pretty much ice packed. Hopefully we get some warm weather this week, but it looks, we really need some sunshine and some 40-degree days. I think we could be back out on country roads. I did hear that some other districts went on country roads today and had some troubles, buses and ditches, so definitely don't need that here. I don't like being on hard surface only. We want to try to get everybody to school we can, but safety is just number one right now. Those roads have actually gotten slicker in the last couple days. So it looks like the rest of the week will be on hard surface. Everybody's been pretty accepting to that. Had a few little things, but we'll work through it and try to accommodate everybody the best that we can and get all the kids to school that we can. That's my job, so that's what we're trying to do.
But definitely am happy to not be paying for a repair bill for a bus that went, well, more importantly, a kid being.
I mean, that's
The ones that I've heard from the area, nobody got hurt in those.
no, that, you know, I sent you that picture. Scotland County had a bus rolled over on its side.
Yeah.
No one was hurt, but still, you've got a torn up bus that you can't replace for 18 months. So, I mean, you don't want to hurt a kid or a bus or a driver or anything. It's just better to be safe right now. Like I said, it's never my goal to be on them, but on hard surface only. But we're going to stay on it as long as I feel like we need to.
I know
Just
our
kind of been taking it
county
day
crews
by
are
day.
working hard.
What's that?
I know our county crews are working hard.
Yeah, and it's nothing against the county. It's just these zero. I mean, 0 and below 0. There's nothing those guys can do to get that stuff off there. They're just ice packed. We just need some warm weather. And then they battled the wind. And they had everything opened up for us, and then the wind blows it back shut. And it's just been a constant battle for them. And me going out and checking, and it's just, you know, I don't feel like it's safe at this point. So. We had a board member, Mike Moore, got licensed. He went through the program up at Mason City. He said it was awesome. Took him about 2 half days. He was very pleased, said it was smooth. They were very informative. So I feel like in the future we can probably use that again. Also, I hired another sub. I think that got approved at the last meeting. I'm waiting to get her in. I'd love to teach her some routes, but it's hard to do when we're only doing half routes right now. I can't teach her a hard surface and then turn around and teach her the real route. So waiting on that. Obviously with all the school that we've had missed, sporting events, we've gotten most of those rescheduled. Me and Steve have been working on that, trying to get as much of that stuff made up as we can. I think so far I've only not been able to reschedule one thing. So that's good. It's been challenging, but we're working through it. That's about it. All I got for you guys this time. Got any questions?
Anybody got any questions for Mike? All right. Well, thanks, Mike. I know it's not been a fun couple of weeks for you guys.
No, I'm ready for spring. That's for sure. And I know Aaron is too.
All right. Well, Mark's got some items he's passing around. We'll turn item number D over to Kevin on our board self-assessment. We talked about this, I believe, a little bit last meeting. So Kevin?
All right,
board-
thank you. Sorry I can't be there. I just, I got some personal medical things I got to attend to, so I'm out of town for it right now. In the packet that's being passed around, it's, this comes directly from the IASB website, the Standards for Effective School Boards. So if you want to flip to page 2. So there are 6 standards, okay? First standard is being a visionary team. As you can read there, it says operate as a visionary governance team in partnership with the superintendent. Then underneath that are 4 bullet points. Now, these are the standards that ISB uses. However, there's not a lot beyond this that says, how do you rate and guide yourself? So on the vision and planning where it says develops a shared vision and plans for student achievement that reflects common values, core beliefs, the school community, it doesn't say what is a 1 and what is a 10. There's nothing that says that. That's going to become important here in just a minute. But you can see that there's 4 items right there. Okay. Go ahead and flip to the third page. And you have standard 2, which is student learning. Standard 3, which is district culture. Standard 4, which is policy and legal. Standard 5 on the next page is fiscal responsibility, and the last one is advocacy. So these are the standards and what makes those up, but that's as far as the standard goes. Here's the challenge, and we're going to go to the next page here in a second. I'm going to ask each of you on each one of these elements, not the numbered items, but the bullet points, is for you to evaluate our board and district on a scale of 1 to 10 with absolutely no guidance of what's a 1 and what's a 10. So go to the next page. Okay. This next page is a matrix that's got everybody's names, including Mark and Lisa's on it. Got all the standards and all the elements underneath it, and then a bunch of numbers. I made all of these numbers up. They're fake. It's a sample just to show you the deal, okay? So I want everybody to go through and rate on a 1 to 10 what you think it is, not knowing anything else about what's a 1 and what's a 9, okay? So under visionary team, you can see the first one there, vision and planning. It's going to come across as a 3.9. That's a lowest one in the group. Operations practices is 6.4 average. Decision making is 6.3, and board superintendent relations is an 8.1. Does everybody see those numbers?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So what we're going to do is in a month from now, when Tammy Drawbaugh comes, we're going to come and talk through all these elements. And we'll have questions like, why is vision and planning so low? What are the things that we need to do to work on it? What are things that board don't feel comfortable and work on it? And for that part, everybody kind of rated it low, but look at the board superintendent relationships. Everybody has it as a 9, except for Mark, who rated himself as a 1.
Made up numbers, by the way. Not real numbers.
I told Mark earlier today I was doing this, so, and it was just like, there may be some that will come out that everybody rates it high and somebody has something that's really low, and that's okay. It's okay, because we want to use that to drive the conversation of, board, why did you all rate, and Lisa, why did you rate Mark as a 9? But Mark, why did you just rate it yourself as a 1? What are the things that we can do to work on that? And so what we want to do is we want to come out with a plan from this of how to, what areas does the board need to work on to become a more effective board? Does that make sense so far? Any questions so far? Okay, go to the next page then. You're going to see a chart. Okay, I don't know if anybody's ever used a chart like this before. Okay. Instead of making a bar graph or a line graph or anything like that, this is called a radar plot. Or as I learned it, it's a spider chart, like a spider web. So what you can see happens in this is when you start to rate all of these things, you'll kind of see them depicted in a little bit different way than what you're used to seeing a bar or a line graph. And all of a sudden you can say, oh, we got some that are really, really low compared to the other ones. So this is something that I was taught a long time ago, is to use this type of an assessment tool. And what you look at and you say, consider this to be a wheel on a tire. If you have a wheel that is round and smooth, you're going to have a smooth ride. But when an organization does a self-assessment and you got things you're really good at and things you're not very good at, the wheel's not very smooth, and the organization tends to have a bumpy ride, just like a lopsided tire. So the theory from this is what you need to do is work as an organization to make the tire as round as possible, make the plot as round as possible. And it can be a small, they can all be ones as long as it's smooth. The thing about a small tire is you're not going to go very fast, but you're at least smooth. And then you just start working on growing the size of the tire, and you just start working. I don't care if they're all 6s, 8s, or 9s. What I care about are the low spots, because what that points out is those are the key elements that we need to work on for improvement as a board. Does that make sense so far? Any questions so far? Okay. So go to the next page. So this is the blank chart. So what I want everybody to do is just underneath your name, I want you to go through the standards and rank them. And don't be afraid to rank low or rank high. Just rank whatever you think. Because here's what's going to happen. I'd like you to turn all these in by the end of the month, back to Mark. I'm going to take them. I'll type all the data up. I'll redo the plot and I'll bring it to the next meeting so everybody can look at it. Okay. Then at the February board meeting, the work session, I should say, when Tammy Drawbaugh comes, she's going to guide our conversation around this. So she's going to look and say, why did why is this area the lowest? Why is this area the highest? And what I think we need to work on is each one of the 6 standards, we'll pick the lowest, and we're just going to say, this thing came in at a 3.2. How would we assess ourselves as a 5? What do we have to do? And then we'll just make a plan as a board of what are we going to do to grow that area of our weakness. It may be we need education. Maybe we need, there's some finance things where we get a forecast once a month. Maybe it's some things that we just don't understand that the district does well, but we as a board don't know it. And so that will drive maybe some presentations at work session. So there's a lot of things that this will do, but this is just an assessment tool that we could use to get started. I've used this in other type of scenario in other organizations, but I've never used these standards. So I'd like for the board, if everybody is agreement to it, because I guess you are the board and you get a vote, is if this is a way that you want to go once we get through the February work session. If we all agree this is an assessment we want to do, then we'll continue forward. If we come back in February after Tammy's here and says, we don't think this is going to get us anywhere, we want to try a different way, I'm fine with that. Because I think this is more important that the board as a whole agrees upon going forward. But this is I think a start in the right direction to do some board assessment. I think we've got a lot of really, really good things going on with the board. And I just want to make us the most effective board that we can. Any questions? This will take some time. Go ahead.
I said, we'll take the silence as acceptance. No, I like that. And,
yeah.
It's a good way to rate ourselves and see where we're at.
Yeah. Now I know Tom and Carol, you haven't been on the board long enough. This can be hard to do. I get that. But I will tell you that as you go through it, you may have some different insight and some questions that I think will be just as valuable as somebody who's been on the board for a long time. Okay. So just go through and don't worry about what the number comes out of. I just want an honest assessment. We'll go from there. Okay.
And I think, Kevin, am I correct in that this is something that Tammy plans to use in her presentation too?
Right. This is going to be the tool she uses.
So that's our February work session with Tammy Drawbaugh from ISB. We're all getting points for that one too. So that's
yeah, and we get ISB points. Yeah. So I can tell you that I've read through these. I've gone through this and created all this. I'm thinking it's going to take an hour or two to really go through and thoughtfully think about this, because the other thing I want you to do is when we get the data back in the early February board meeting, Because then the homework assignment is gonna be between the February regular meeting and the work session is to make some notes of why did I make this a 3? Why did I make this an 8? So you've got some notes that you can go off of in order to have a really good, solid conversation instead of well, I put that as a 3, but I don't know why. So I would like for you also to make some notes on your own as far as why you did the way it did, so we can make productive use of our time. So any questions now? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Next up, we have financial reports.
I'm just gonna take this time to give a little update on the certified budget process. In the past, we were required to set the public hearing, post in the newspaper, and then have the public hearing and certify the budget by April 15th. And this year, it's gonna be a whole lot different, so I just kinda wanna go through the timeline of that process. February 1st, the Department of Management should release the budget forms to each district. February to early March, we actually have to complete the aid and levy and the conduct schedule. And then on or before March 5th, we have to finalize the hearing date and complete the proposed property tax notice for the first public hearing, because we're gonna have 2 public hearings this year. No later than March 20th, the county auditor will prepare and mail the property tax hearing statements to every single taxpayer in the district. No later than March 25th, we have to publish the first public hearing for the proposed property tax in the newspaper. It also has to be published on the district's website and the social media site on the same day as the newspaper notice. And then March 25th through mid-April, we hold the first hearing on the proposed property tax. It must be a unique and separate meeting and be the only item on the agenda. And then we have to set the public hearing and publish in the newspaper the notice for the full budget adoption. And then in April, we hold the public hearing on the budget adoption and then adopt the budget in the regular meeting. And by April 30th, submit it to the Department of Management. So we're gonna have to have 2 meetings this year. Just wanted everybody to learn that. It's gonna be a different process.
There's a lot of people that can speak to that, a lot of superintendents and SPOs around the state, very nervous about the process because some of the documents that we'll need to use, some of the guidance that we need, as you might guess, coming from a state agency, is not fully developed yet. So you'll be preparing a budget by March with guidance that's not yet available at almost February, so awesome.
So we're gonna have to set, if that deadline is March 5th to set the hearing date, we're gonna have to set that at the work session in February, right? Or have a special meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we will let you know at some point.
Well, our first budget conference workshop is February 2nd, and then I do another one on February 22nd, I think, somewhere around there, so.
Couple conferences between now and then to learn the new process with the people that's the only item that they really work on, so hopefully they can give us a little more guidance into the fun new stuff.
Yep. That's all I have.
Right. Anybody got any questions for Lisa? We do have some bills that were in the packet, so we will take a motion in a second to approve financial report.
These are those.
Or are those my old bills?
Those are your old.
Never mind, we don't
Okay,
need,
no,
those are my old bag, I don't have my stuff organized. There is no need for a motion, thank you, Lisa. Just keeping everybody on the
Feel a
toes.
lot better now. It's getting a little nervous.
Principals reports.
We'll start at the very beginning.
So I don't have a paper report for you in there, and I'm sorry about that. I was actually at a class when I remembered that we're supposed to have those in on Thursday, so my bad about that. But I was at a great class with our instructional coaches that we're going to bring to our whole district with the hat of being the curriculum director, not a principal, I guess, at the moment. But it was called Writing Revolution, and it is a whole series book on lots of writing techniques in every content area. So giving little tiny mini lessons on how to bring writing in. As we know, reading is connected to writing so much. but it's also connected to really learning your information that you're gathering. There's a lot of research out there that talks if you write it down, you'll remember it better. So tips and tricks on how to do that in every content, and that's something that we're going to move forward with as a whole district, K-12, starting in April when we have some time as a K-12 district to work again. And bring that a little chunk at a time. So I think that's the biggest piece of it. And then letting people go out and work it in their classrooms and things like that. So that's really exciting. We have another follow-up session to that class with the AEA February 1st. So we're glad to finish that class up. The coaches, myself, and then our literacy consultant from the AEA will be helping with that. So it's exciting, and lots of school districts around have really seen great improvement after implementing it. So glad we're going to do that. On the preschool front, we haven't seen our little friends much this month, but you know, when we have, they've been excited and ready to learn. We're trying to get in some assessment that happens in January, as elementary and everyone, I guess, in the district is. But hopefully, we'll have some new data to look at and to move forward with. We had a great family night in December. I forget, we haven't seen you guys really since then. So it was, we have a Grinch themed family night instead of a Christmas program. We do a family night where the kids and families are able to come and rotate, and we make an ornament. They make Grinch dust so the Grinch doesn't steal all the presents, and have games, and we even had some prizes thanks to Dollar Tree for donating some things to our building this year. We gave those as some prizes. And we also fed our families. It's a great night, it's a lot of fun, great attendance. So we encourage them to bring their entire family. Some brought grandparents, some brought siblings, so it was a good night. So that's always fun. They're starting their snow unit, which is always a great time. They'll be sledding down this hill, hopefully, in the next few days, and then studying the snow and water cycles, so that's an exciting time in our world as well. So just a few of the things that we've been doing.
I was just a total loser. Just to be real honest, I just missed it. Our hearts are just pretty heavy out, just to be real honest. We've really endured some tough situations that our students and our families are in. And I'm gonna share with you in my board report next month, I assure you, the contact that's going on with our student advisor, Tyler Bays, and our social worker, Cassidy Stewart. I think that's really important for you to know, like, what we're getting for the amount of money that you have spent and invested in that. And part of that is we knew that we were gonna share a little bit with an associate principal this year. So Tyler has really just been my go-to guy. But on last week, we met one day. I asked him and Cassie just to keep track of the amount of the student contact they have and what the purpose is. And Tyler's data last week, when I looked at it, had 580 some contacts with kids in our building, and that was, you know, about semester time. And we have one young man that had been to the principal's office 16 out of 20 times, the first 16 out of 20 days. And that little guy, now we did a check-in, check-out, which is a level 2 PBIS intervention. And that little guy has not had 1 ounce of trouble since then. We do a deal where we don't even have him record his days anymore, but on occasion, I'll just ask him to come eat lunch with myself or Mr. Bays or some other kids who are being recognized for doing good things. But you know, when we always talk about those big words like multi-tiered system of support, I say that all the time to Mark. Sometimes I just send him a text and I say, Mark, it is so working in our building because we have the best PBIS data we've had in the 14 years that I've been there. But I credit that so many things. Our teachers are amazing at building relationships with kids. There is not one child that is not connected there with our teachers. Our state of Iowa documentation that the kids answer surveys, that was one of the highest things at Lakeview. Our teachers do morning meetings, and that's why I really push families to have your kids here by 8:05 because they get to participate in a morning meeting. And it might be something as silly as everybody throw your right shoe in. Go grab somebody else's shoe. Now find that partner and share with them. Tell them the favorite thing you did over a snow day. Tell them the last good book you read. Tell them what's on your mind today, you know, things like that. But our teachers are doing a phenomenal job of building time with kids and connections, knowing who needs what and how. Our our social worker, I don't even know how many kids. I know the last time I looked at her data, it was 700 and some. And it can be as simple as 2 or 3 or 4 girls having a little tiff, because you know sometimes girls do that, and they talk through some of that. I will tell you what she and Mr. Bass did the 2 weeks leading up to the weather being so bad. They reached out to families that they knew were struggling with just meeting basic needs. And she and Tyler went to the high school, reached out to Brad and their staff, and brought back boxes of like collaborative things that you could put together for some meals, knowing that chances were we might be out for a few days. And I know that sounds small. There's an organization in town that shares financial money with me in the fall and says, do what you need. We have bought underwear, socks, boots, blankets, and on my way here tonight, we stopped and paid for a hotel room for a family that accumulates 3 students in our district because they're having heating issues and trying to open a stove to keep their home warm. And you know, sometimes I worry, and I felt terrible when I knew I didn't get my board report done, because there's so many things that I want you to know that our staff and students and families are doing well. But the truth, what I'm so proud of it's like when we met with our principal the other day, our interviewers, you know what, that's the thing Centerville Schools does really well, is they take care of our kids. And our staff do that, they're committed to that. You wouldn't believe, yesterday, people are reaching out via text, trying to help some families that have some things going on, because we know when your basic needs aren't met, learning's really secondary. So, I don't know, I just share that with you to share the good news that's going on there. Our interventions are going great. Our teachers, again, are doing double duty. They're teaching the core and teaching interventions in their days. We're seeing that, we're reassessing that right now, seeing a lot of kids make growth. One of the most exciting things is our special ed teachers have embraced the numeracy project with this math curriculum. And Julie's nodding her head because it's district-wide, we're seeing that. Our kids are moving, with students with IEPs, are moving faster than they've ever moved in our building. So again, there's hours put in by our teachers, but our teachers they're just doing a phenomenal job. And it's a tough job right now, and I don't think the people in Des Moines realize the level of commitment, professionalism, and hearts that go into that work. So I just would want to share that with my board report with you, that it's strong. I'm proud to be a part of that.
I make a few notes before I come in, not that many, but a few.
No.
And one thing, and I asked Lisa what MTSS meant, and now I really know. So this is a great report to find out. And you know, helping the people, we had a family at our church that didn't have food, so you know, we provided a bunch of food for them. And that same family, I helped her get to the Lord's cupboard to get stuff, because I was working there. And they had got food from the school after that. So they had no food. A family in this town.
And do you know where
has
that comes from?
And you know where it is too.
Yeah, it comes from, it is honestly, I say that all the time, it is this community. The Methodist Church brings us those bags, the Knights of Columbus help us out with our special ed student funding to pay for things that are maybe too big for the district or too much. Our Knights of Columbus friends are the ones who are like, use this as you will, tell us, just share with us back what we're doing. So yeah, our community are good caregivers. My gosh, families called and offered us coats. Businesses downtown, the week of Christmas break, brought us hats and gloves. And today kids came in and were like, my mom said she can't find this glove. I was like, go over to the box. I mean, it's.
And some families move from other places that happen to be born where this family came from.
Yes.
They don't have those things.
No.
They just don't have them. They don't have any money either, so
No.
that helped us so.
Yeah, so we have a little friends the other day that we were talking about some tough things with, and they have bunk beds, but they don't have mattresses for them. But we got that hooked up, but I mean, it's just the thing is like, it's just that fine line. It's fine line. We want to help people be better and make it better, but.
You can't learn very much if you're hungry.
Exactly, or you're cold
or you're cold.
Absolutely. And hopefully what they all know is not maybe what they remember they learned, but that they learned someone cared. And we've got a whole staff of people in this district that do that really well. Top to bottom.
Rhonda's on. I don't know if her internet's good enough to be able to talk. Rhonda, are you good? Awesome.
We'll try. Okay, you had my board report, I think, in your packet, so I won't talk a lot. Just want to give a shout out to Deanne Leach from Lakeview. Perry has brought her and some aides up to our building and has really helped out getting our library going at Howard. We really struggled setting up a library, and Deanne has been just a godsend to help get that going. And so I thank Terry and Donna, our library that comes, to our district. So hopefully soon it'll be rolling. Cameron's got a few things to do to get the tech set up, but looks like it's rolling right along. The virtual days went really well. My staff, there was a lot of good feedback from that. A lot of the kids brought back their stuff and they're still following up on some of the packet work, but the virtual days went really good. So I appreciate the district letting us do that.
I like your note that they did admit they preferred to be in school though. I like that.
Yeah, I was asking the kids if they liked the virtual, and at first they said no, and I said, do you want to go till June? And they were like, no, we like virtual.
Love it.
Back to what Terry was talking about, when you sign your contract as a teacher, those things aren't on your contract. But you develop this family in the school, and those kids are your kids. And so, I know exactly what you're talking about, and you're right, there are just so many people that fill so many roles, which are equally or more as important than.
Yeah, we have a lunch lady who buys extras when she buys your family groceries and hangs on the door of a teacher to send home with a young family.
Brad, what you got for us?
I hit most of the stuff in my report. Second semester, scheduling is kind of a big deal at the high school. I listed the people in the office that really helped out with schedules and meet with kids. And one of the things, we had some of our designations from the state. One of the things that we talked about was we wanted to be very intentional with kids, how we're scheduling, especially kids with IEPs. How we're scheduling, try to get them in something they're interested in to hopefully last after high school. So that just takes time to do stuff like that. I mean, we could hit a button on Power School and we could schedule kids up, but we kind of thought that wasn't what kids needed. So we spent the time, we try to meet with kids, work, things out, and we're still today trying to get some stuff shuffled around to make it work. But that's the big thing at the high school, to get that schedule running. We have started, we're kind of in the process of doing our screener. This is the first year we've really done that screener, so we're Fast Bridge K-12, which is kind of a neat thing to do. I'm just looking at some of the data. It'll be interesting to get with my leadership team so we can really look at it and see what we're doing and get that back to the teachers and then to the kids, just so they can see, this is what we're doing. One of the things we really want to do is share data with kids. I think we talk about data a lot of times. We don't often talk about it with kids. And I think there's a big impact on that, just to sit down with the kid, have a conversation, say this is what we're seeing. Winter sports, like Mike said, Steve's been very busy rescheduling, modifying games, things like that. And then just the district help, just the people being flexible, I think when you cancel a game and you reschedule it, you don't realize how many people you have to get to come and take tickets, to sell popcorn and things like that. So once again, kind of that community mindset that people just do it. The winter dance was the kids are so excited about having the winter dance that National Honor Society wanted to do it. We typically have homecoming to prom, so we had the winter dance. It got postponed. It was the same weekend as the wrestling tournament, so it's been rescheduled. A lot of excitement about that. Our speech teams they competed Saturday, and I'll be honest, I don't know how they did. I didn't get to see Chris today, but they're hoping to get to the state competition in February.
professional development. One of the big thing was, I really do want to, thanks to Mark and Aaron, we were able to get all the staff in the new building. I think that was big. I think the teachers really liked to get in there and see it. Some of them had never been in there. So I think it was just good to get in and see the space and, you know, how nice it can be and, you know, the scope of it and things like that. And then families, community, FAFSA, like a lot of government things, that information comes slow and they set dates and dates don't work and you're gonna get this. So we are working with having the FAFSA night. The weather's canceled a couple of them, but that's one of the things with Savannah and then Jill, our CTC, is really trying to get every kid to get their FAFSA filled out so they can be eligible for financial aid if that's what they're, you know, if they need it.
Yeah, and to, talking to Savannah and Jill, hats off to them. I mean, Jill's already out there, you know, reaching out on scholarship opportunities. Reached out to me on behalf of Community First, which I got her hooked up with that, as well as making sure, hey, Rotary's still doing that, so I got that information to her. Last year there was some things that prevented some more students from applying than probably would have in the past, but certainly appreciate, you know, the work that staff's doing, getting those opportunities out there, you know.
And one of the neat thing, I mean, you just kind of sparked me. We had a student graduate a semester that it just took an apprenticeship that he got hooked up with from the counseling department. This fall, they gave him an opportunity to go on a site visit and do a little shadowing, and he's an apprentice now, electrician, moved to Burlington right after graduation, so.
That's amazing. Anybody any questions for Brian or anything? Thank you guys, thank you principals. Next up in your board packet, technology bid. Cameron or Mark, you want to touch on this? This is a technology bid, correct me if I'm wrong.
On the new high school.
TVs
Yeah,
for
this is
the addition.
Presentation screens in the new high school. I'll let Cameron give you the details.
Yeah, I mean, a majority of these are just for the classrooms, I think 12. The rest of them are for, you know, learning spaces, conference rooms, front office, just other places like that. These are straight from Samsung, so they're business class TVs, so less junk on them than your standard commercial TV. Better backlighting, better viewing angles, and I'm very impressed by the price too.
Right?
Yeah. So there's not a lot of extra software on there. It's just only the built-in casting stuff, not stuff to get in the way. But the price is really good for business class TVs.
Yeah, it is. Anybody have questions? If not, take a motion in a second to approve.
Second.
Motion in a second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I just want to throw one more thing. They also have a 3-year warranty, which is awesome. So no other TVs give a warranty like that.
Next up is approval in addition to our summer projects, which we did approve our summer projects last meeting. Some things have kind of changed a little bit, so I'll put this to Mr. Taylor and Aaron. You guys want to?
We kind of talked through tag teaming this one a little bit the other day. Aaron and I don't get to talk a lot during the day. We run in separate directions and try to put out fires here and there. Not literally, thank goodness. But we definitely run differently. So I'm going to do a little bit of kind of the financial piece of why this is an addition. This initially was in our 5-year forecast for not this summer, but the summer after. The reason it got accelerated is because the item that had been on this summer's 5-year forecast for the maintenance plan was to do the bleachers at the football field. But as we had the company actually come and look at it to give us an actual estimate rather than kind of their vague estimate they'd given before, they found significantly more to make it look aesthetically as good as we'd like it to look, significantly more than we'd like them to do, replacing more boards, sandblasting more areas and everything, so it was quite a bit higher. So we kind of swapped those two items on the long range plan in order to be able to kind of fit everything in each year that we can to try to keep making progress on our buildings and our grounds. So with that said, I'll let Aaron kind of jump into the specifics of this. Does everybody know, do you want to talk a little bit about where it is and kind of how it functions?
This, this addition is to convert, we've talked several times in the past how small the actual kitchen is at Howard, and how little space and little room, little equipment they actually have, and what they're trying to accomplish with what they're doing is cooking all the food in Howard Kitchen for those students, up to the quality of what they're doing. And this project is to move the kitchen back to its original spot back in the 70s, which is connected to the old gym. And on this I gave you a little pricing sheet and a layout of how I feel this would be best done. There are a few things on the pricing sheet that are estimated, waiting for a few things to come back. But for a significantly low price, we can get this switched over and have 4 times the size of kitchen. This includes adding in an electric range so they can do their cooking it's designed by OPA for them to do. This would just give them a lot bigger space. It'd be a lot bigger cafeteria because we'd use the gym as the cafeteria as well, like we have in the past. It would just allow more space and more room. And then how we have thought about designing it in the past that down the years is to take the cafeteria as it is now and turn it into a larger, more sustained library, media center. And so these are kind of some of the numbers that we're looking at to get this completed.
And so then that allows us to use the Hill, as it's affectionately called, Howard Innovative Learning Lab Hill. The room where we did our board meeting at Howard last time, as a classroom. We have right now an exploratory class that we needed to add because of the size of the current 6th grade class that has been meeting in there. But in order to put up our library shelves, we had to put them in there, so it really reduced the space available there. There's also some special education classrooms we'd like to have the flexibility to move around, and they're having larger numbers than when the addition was done. Maybe they were counting on, so there's one room that isn't maybe, while it's rated technically to have the number of kids that's using it, we feel that it would be better for them to have a better space, a bigger space than they're using. So that would allow us to use that, and it gives 2 exits for matters of safety that way, which is something that, as we go through all of our training, it's something we've learned is important. So that gives us that flexibility there. The media center piece, a few years back, that had pulled the library out of Howard. That was a really big mistake. This allows us to put that media center kind of center for the building, which is a big deal, and we can really work on building up a love for reading with our middle school kids. Obviously, the kitchen and the cafeteria part, it's about using a space that's currently infrequently used. I won't say not used at all. We do we host some after-school activities in the old gym, but it's no longer used for any gym classes or anything during the day. So this gives us an opportunity with that to use our spaces wisely and make it the most for kids. Some things to go with some of the other additions and renovations we had for Howard, and try to freshen that space up and make it a little more current this way. Ironically, making it more current is doing what went away in the 70s, which is weird. I'm not sure, but I think they used that old gym a heck of a lot more before they had the new gym, so they kind of had to move away from it there.
That's saying what's old is new again.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
So places that currently use the old gym, outside entities that come in, they won't be able to use it? Or
Well, so there still could be some ability to use that, but then we also will look for a lot of rental for the new high school gym too, for some of those things. Because we'll have the bleachers that are there now over in that new high school gym. And, one of the big ones that uses it is like the Y for the little kid basketball program, so giving them honestly, I think what's a little bit nicer looking space for basketball in that new gym at the high school. I think maybe one thing I learned the other night is we're gonna really practice free throws. So we can get them in there practicing that beautiful looking gym that they that they enjoy. We're kind of excited about that space being right there too by that building. I think that's gonna help.
Anybody have any questions on this particular project?
Does this come, I mean, do we need a cooler or a freezer or anything like that?
We currently have a refrigerator, reach-in refrigerator at Howard already. Now, and earlier this year, the reach-in freezer for the high school took a crap, so we bought a new one for them, and they will not use that. We're all people. We will all use that, and they will no longer need that at the high school. Moving forward to next year, because they'll have a walk-in cooler and freezer, so they'll transport that back to Howard, so they'll have a full reach-in freezer and cooler.
That meet their needs?
Yes, it's more than
It's definitely a lot better.
more than they have now.
Yeah. Which is kind of exciting, because I know one thing that we've talked a lot about around the food service program is the quality of food at Howard specifically. And I think getting them a kitchen where they can do more prep, like right now, they're pulling out a hot plate sometimes to do prep. I just really think having a nice prep kitchen will help us get higher quality food for the kids there. And if anybody, if you've ever had a junior high aged kid, they eat a lot, so getting them food that they want to eat is a big deal during that lunchtime.
Take a motion in a second to approve if we want to move forward with the Kappa Gymatorium. I'm sorry.
We're not asking you to approve the tables at this time, though.
That is, and to speak on that, I forgot that was in there. To speak on that, that is another idea that's not included in this pricing. That's something we're kind of seeing how this pricing goes before we commit to those tables, because they are a little bit more expensive. But they had talked in the past, that Howard had talked about trying to convert from 3 lunches to 2 lunches. So these tables are what they consider wall packs. They mount to the wall. Have you ever seen kind of a bed that kind of folds down? These would be three tier tables that will pull out from the wall, and they can be folded back into place. That way, if you have something like the YMCA or drama or whatever the event is after school, these tables aren't in the way or being moved around and messed with. They're locked into place and put there.
And for those playing along, this isn't saying that we are moving to 2 lunch shifts next year. It's just saying if we're gonna spend the money already, you might as well spend a tiny bit more money and have it so you have flexibility. So I just wanna make sure that we put that out there. But we're not asking you to approve the tables yet. We just want you to see one thing that we're looking at down the road for this. Just because we want to see everything come into shape. We can use the tables that we have, and that would be perfectly fine. But this is something that we think we may come back with later in the spring once we have harder numbers on a couple of those items.
A question for Lisa. Does this come out of general fund or nutrition fund?
It comes out of the Pebble Fund.
Pebble. Okay.
Yeah, this is part of Aaron's budget.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion and a second to approve. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Approve personnel business procedures. A couple resignations in the packet. We had any transfers. Mr. Taylor, we did have one.
I would like to call out the contract that's in there.
Yes.
And actually, there is a contract on your table as well. So we had interviews on Friday. First off, hopefully some people watch this later on Facebook. I want to thank all the teachers, the support staff, and parents and community members who volunteered to come in and serve on our interview panels. Let's see, our panels were 10 staff, 9 administrators, 10 parents, I think it was. One of those is 9, the others are 10. I might have mixed around which one is which, but we conducted interviews of 3 candidates. Honestly, 3 really good candidates that I really could see any one of those 3 serving kids in our buildings. But one kind of emerged as the the victor among the candidates with the different groups. Really strong showing. Mr. Baker is the person that we're recommending for hire for that position. Brian is currently serving as a preschool principal over in Burlington. He overlapped a couple of years with me in my time in Burlington there, so I kind of knew about his energy level that he can bring to the job, and pretty excited about that. I think that's going to be really good for our team. Some new ideas for us too. I think he'll teach us some things and we'll teach him some things, which is pretty cool. And actually, we were pretty excited that also with Mr. Baker, his wife is the first qualified applicant we had seen for our middle school counseling position since posting it initially when our person left last May. So Terry had talked to me and we talked about, yeah, let's go ahead and interview her and see if she would fit our needs. And I think, Terry, would it be accurate to say that you're pretty darn excited about what she brings to the table? A lot of good things with her. So that her recommendation prior is the one that's on the table there. Just really excited. They bring 3 young kids to the district. They have a 5th grader and 2 first graders. Today I did get a message from Mr. Baker saying, hey, who are some of the realtors in town and what can we look at and what do you know about this house and that house? Like, he's on it. Like, they're very organized people. So if you hear of something out there that we can encourage to share with them, don't hesitate to hit me up. I'd be happy to share. I think he's pretty excited. We're going to try to get him on the morning show with Go Pitch at some point this spring. He'll probably have to zoom into that because he's still running the preschool building and the daycare there, but I'm just excited to get rolling with things. He called me the other Friday night and said, I think I'm good luck for your basketball team because I watched 2 of your games and you guys won both of them. So, so I liked that. I thought that was really good. And no, it'll be great to welcome that family into the district. I think they're going to do some great things for our teachers and work really hard for them.
Does he have teaching experience?
He taught in St. Joseph's, Missouri. Am I remembering that right? St. Joseph's, Missouri. Social studies. Social studies. And then I think he did some PD things with them too, or something at one point too.
And then he worked in the professional business. Do you remember that? He talked
Yeah.
a little bit about in Des Moines, he oversaw
Daycare,
some,
and,
yeah.
after school tutoring
Yeah.
programs. Yeah, really neat deal.
Motion approved, personnel business procedures.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Can you back up? Can you refresh my memory? Who resigned last spring to junior high?
Brandy, we were moving Brandy.
Oh, she just a transfer.
We had
Gotcha.
done a transfer to the junior high.
Okay.
Another district just had a really good paying position
Okay.
that she had taken, and definitely somebody would love to see around again someday. She's pretty cool.
Yes, all right. I just didn't know if this was an addition to current staff or replacing.
No, I'm trying to replace, we tried
Yeah.
kind of all year to replace that spot, and unfortunately, there's just not a plethora of available certified
Right.
counselors out there. Thank goodness we got somebody in though. I think we're gonna be able to see some games for our Howard kids.
All right, Kevin told me I'm not getting away from board takeaways this week, so.
Gotta do it.
We'll start with Doc Johnson.
Oh, well, I thought we were gonna get away from it. I guess, takeaway was listening to the principals and the, people in charge, Aaron, and, I'm sorry.
Mike.
Yeah, finding out, being new, you don't know exactly the people and what they do, so I mean, that to me is very good. And the other thing I guess I'll mention is, our board was involved last Saturday at the AEA meeting, and I thought it was really good that it was a tremendous meeting, and I thought that was good that our board was involved, and lots of other people were involved too, in trying to see that situation. There's 3 of us that have been teachers in the past. I didn't teach as long as a couple others, but you know, the AEA, what I remember of it, I used it even back in those days. So the AEA's been around and I think it's a pretty valuable service.
Mr. Thomas?
I enjoyed the principal's reports, very good. And I enjoyed the student presentations, that's always fun. I didn't go to the AEA thing, but I followed Governor Reynolds' comments about things that she'd like to restructure. And I have always had the feeling that we were not getting the service from AEA that we have had in the past. And so I know her proposed plan seems to be in a state of flux right now. But I had asked Mr. Rubel probably about 6 years ago to interview the teachers about the services that we were getting from AEA, and he always said he would, but that never happened. And I was led to believe by several teachers that we were not getting the kind of service from AEA that we had in the past. And I hope that this improves things somehow.
Good news is we had a lot of teachers out to that meeting. I think it's one of those things where, like, how did we say that earlier? Because we talked a little bit about this. It's like, I support the concept. Some of the things in practice still need a little bit of work. And so it was neat to see kind of some of that solidarity. Look, a handful of parents too, I thought. At that
I thought it was fantastic, the information that came out of that meeting, because the people that were involved in doing the things were talking about what they did. I thought the most fantastic part of it was the mother who had an 18-month-old child who had Down syndrome that needed help, and all the help that she was getting from the AEA, from the different people involved. And so there was a lot of people that talked about the help that they were getting. So, you know, I guess if you're not in the system, you don't know all this stuff. So it was tremendously educational.
Definitely been one of those people at times, so it's grumped. Like, there's been some times where I've run into, like, oh, I don't like how they feel about that. And, you know, I think the person that I probably most respected working closely with in my last stop was one of my AEA reps. There were probably weeks where she and I couldn't talk to each other because we so completely disagreed on what a kid needed. But we knew that we were both so passionate about it that we were just gonna chew each other out about it. And we'd come to the table eventually and put it together. And, you know, I guess I kind of felt like it's that whole iron sharpens iron thing, and I definitely grew from somebody having a dissenting opinion and sharing that. So sometimes that dissenting opinion is real darn not fun to listen to though when you spend a whole day. So, sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Carol?
Well, Terry, you know, when you started talking and you said you didn't have your thing, I much preferred listening to you speak than reading it, because the passion that you had in your voice, you can't get from a copy paper. So, also, I have a question for Kevin. When do you want this?
End of the month. 8 days, so because that gives me time so I can get it back to us by our first February meetings.
Okay. All right.
You got a tight schedule, don't you?
Yep, but I'll get it done. It's fine. What do I do with it when I'm done with it?
Can I just collect them, Kevin? Is that okay?
Yeah, just give them to Mark.
Swing by and grab
Okay.
them from me or something.
I'll just get it done this week.
I mean, whatever. I mean, I'll swing by if you want.
Kim?
Well, I guess I'm looking forward to our next board development thing, so it's interesting. So, but I've actually enjoyed all of the stuff that we've had our arms twisted to go through, because I've learned a lot. So I do actually appreciate it, and I know we've grown as a board. So.
That was just from the twisting, I think.
Right.
Stretching joints.
Yeah.
Well, I would agree with that. You know, first and foremost, last couple of weeks, a lot of heavy decisions that had to be made. And although I joke that I want to be the guy to push the button, I don't want to be the guy to make the call. So, you know, for those playing at home, Mr. Taylor and Mike, they're out 3:30, 4 o'clock on these mornings where weather's questionable, and they don't take the decision lightly, so I just, I want to express my thank you for you guys and what you do for us. And again, I'll echo Carol just a little bit. I know I'm breaking the rules by piggybacking, but the passion on your staff, it's not unnoticed, and the spirit of giving in this community is not unnoticed. A couple, 2-3 weeks ago, One Main Financial, my branch manager there, on behalf of the board, I went up and Terry accepted over 100 items that they wanted to do something for Centerville. And hey, would the school take these? I'm like, yes, absolutely. So if you haven't had a chance to get in the buildings, see what they really do, it would truly open your mind, you open your eyes. I think I've said this a couple times in the past too, but my time as Rotary president, I got to go into Lakeview as for the Student of the Month presentations, and really got to see, there's staff members that would, bring clothes home from their own home because some of the littles just don't have it. So it's not just her telling us at these meetings, it's lived and breathed every single day in that building, so thank you.
I think it goes on and above too. I'll tell you what, Rhonda and Brad and I talk and share resources, and their staff's still doing the very same thing. They've got bags of shampoo and deodorant and personal products to hand out to kids, so nobody's embarrassed.
Definitely takes a village.
Yeah.
So, with that, even though he's not here, Kevin, we'll give you the last word.
Oh, well, thank you. So my takeaways, just two things. One is on Kim Mitchell and the robotics. I'm glad that we've progressed in that program, because when it first started, it was Legos. And I know Lego Robotics has quite a bit to do, but the things that they're doing now are so far beyond what it originally started with. So I'm just pleased with the progress in that department for our kids. And the fact that we have alumni coming back to help them, I think that's an awesome kind of thing on that. And the last takeaway is, though I do not like being remote, if I ever have to do it again, I'm getting some headphones because I can barely hear through my computer screen. And that's a function of my laptop, not you guys. So, but thank you, Derek, for doing this, and Cameron, thanks for the link. I appreciate it.
I did have one question. I understand the high school staff went through the new high school, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
How did that go? Any comments from them? Or?
Well, we had some comments and some questions, but we took them around in small groups. I think we had groups of 6, kind of by departments, and I think they were very pleased with what they saw. And there was some, always when somebody was, well, I thought we were going to do this, or the original plan we were going to do this, and I thought we were going to have a door here and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was well received.
We're excited to see it.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny, there were some things where, like one matter of contention that came up for some was, some didn't like the new lockers, and then some really liked the new lockers. So it's kind of like when you build a school calendar, like, oh, the most important thing is letting out before June. No, the most important thing is having a spring break. So like, depending on the group you took through and what they value, they kind of had different items. We did make a change to our furniture, that we're working on, the furniture bid that we're trying to build after the tours though, in trying to add some bookcases to the rooms. That was one piece that came out of that, hey, why, there's no bookcases, where am I gonna put all my books? Fair enough, maybe there's not enough space on those shelves, so let's get a bookcase added on there. And that was a good one.
That's valuable.
Yeah, that helped us a lot, because then we don't have to worry about it then, we're getting value pricing now. So.
Yeah, well, I just wondered if there was anything like that.
That was a big one.
Yeah, that was.
And we, one thing we're trying to work into that furniture bid, and I'm not trying to take your spot here, but we also, just kind of to piggyback on that, you'll get more on that next month when we bring that in, but they had kind of cheap teacher chairs in the bid. We wanted to spring for the more expensive teacher chairs, so we're gonna be a lot closer to the budget number rather than a lot further under the budget number like we thought we were gonna be, but we think if they're gonna sit in there on a planning period, we want them to be kind of comfortable, so we kind of pitched in a little bit extra on that one, and I think it ended up costing like $90 more a chair or something like that to do that, but gosh, the other chairs looked terrible.
That's great to hear, because we all know the teachers that have bought their own chairs, and their
Uh-huh.
own bookshelves, and their own,
Yep.
you know, so
Yep.
that,
Yep.
good for you guys.
Good point.
With that, I'll take a motion in a second to.
Motion to adjourn, because I never get to make a motion.
We got a motion,
Second.
got a motion in a second to adjourn, all in favor?
I
Any
You
opposed?
all.